Abusia yam makwa abasonko so eba POG Media. Ene yere makwa highway ne so highway ne de ensem bebre wo so a yen so ya je pene se yebe me abedwafo no ahu de ekọ ene de eba na dan na ekoso ewo highway ne so eye K.Pratt ena ede ensem bebre aba betu dwana or go straight on Nana Dankwa Akuffo attacking the personal enye asam ketwa kra na saying Nana Dankwa Akuffo make speech bia ni speech na o make no o ka kire Ghana for say ono se pa say obedja amamoni mu ama John Dramani Mahama abaye ni success ade onje mu ne enje mu china na that means say ono no Dr. Bawumia enko a na o hwehwe no na we na K.Pratt etes answer say no say who born dog oye one hwan a obeka se unje abatu mu emobi na wonim se Ghana no eye odia wonim se Ghana no eye wone wabusuafo ne dia Ghana fo no ye wo veto power se ye de beto abatia o na ye tutia nso a unni seka unni bibia ye se unje abanemu ende K.Pratt eschooli na Addo Dankwa Akuffo panishe na enye asem ketu akra yensa emre no ye bepe se ye be me abidafo no be me akọ na yakwa akuti ensem K.Pratt ede etudwa na ansa na yebekọ no wo ensem kan bi afa hye ye comment section ne so like share ma afofo so ensa entumi enka bi aha eye POG Media political trending stories biara ekoso ewo highway ne so biara no yenso ya jepene se yebe me abedwafo no ahu de ekọ ene de eba na limited registrations no de ekoso biara no yede bebre ya abedwafo na omo ahu update bia ekoso ewo highway ne so madam ase.
Well, I like to note that public commentators over the last week have sanitized the statement made by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akuffo. Because they've reduced it to whether or not he has a legacy and whether or not that legacy should be protected. If you focus on attention on his legacy and whether or not his legacy should be protected, you actually sanitize what he said. Because what he said clearly is that I'm not going to hand over if the people of Ghana do not elect the person I want. And that's very clear. Now, what are the implications of that? He is actually looking us in the face and saying that to hell with the 1992 Constitution. That the Constitution means absolutely nothing. That I am not a Democrat and I do not believe in the democratic process. To the extent that the democratic process does not deliver what I want, let the democratic process go to hell. You understand? So even though he talks about his legacy and the need to protect his legacy and so on, the most essential part of his statement is that he will violate the Constitution, he will abuse the electoral process, he will do whatever it takes to ensure that he retains power. Now, I don't think also that we need to take this statement in isolation. We need to couple this statement with other things that have happened, other statements, other practices, and so on, and other actions which have been taken. So here's the president who says, I'm not going to hand over to somebody that I believe would not protect my legacy. Okay? Then there's Lord Comey, who has also come to tell us in plain language that they would not hand over, that they will do whatever it takes to retain power. Okay? And it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there at all. Okay? We are seeing, in real practical terms, measures being taken to ensure that no matter what happens, the government stays in power. One, the MPP parliamentary primaries in Yendi. We all saw an EC official declare publicly his allegiance to the New Patriotic Party. Is that not worrying? Add that to the statements, and it gives you a very worrying picture. It does not end there. A commissioner of the EC publicly declares that the National Democratic Congress is subversive of democracy. What does that tell you? If a commissioner actually believes that the National Democratic Congress is subversive of democracy, why would that commissioner not act in ways to prevent the National Democratic Congress from coming to power? I think it's important that we take note of these things. Then we have the case of a card-bearing propagandist of the New Patriotic Party who has publicly declared that he will do everything and anything possible to prevent the National Democratic Congress from coming to power, being appointed a commissioner. Are we not worried? We should be worried, okay? I know we're going to discuss the ongoing voter registration exercise. But what does that tell you? You go to Norton, check. Most of the machines which are deployed there are defective. Why Norton? Why Norton? Why not Bantama? Did you hear of defective machines in Bantama and so on? So we should be really worried, okay? And there's a lot more that is exceedingly worrying. I mean, you look at the voter registration exercise, and I saw a horrifying video, absolutely horrifying video. Voter machines are not working, and a commissioner stands over the voter machines and prays to God for the machines to work. What? We will come to discuss that. But you see, this is the only place where people lobby for positions, they are giving their positions, and then they call on God to come and do their work for them. If God was going to repair machines and make the machines work and so on, why did she go for the appointment? I mean, clear case of irresponsibility. And in our part of the world, when we display this gross irresponsibility under the cloak of Christianity, we ignore it. You have been appointed to do a job. If God is a mechanic and can repair machines and so on, well, why were you given the job? Why do you take salary at the end of the month? So we have built a country in which, when we have insufficient power supply, all kinds of characters in Kasok move to Akuffo and pray over the dam. When election machines are not working, they pray for the machines to resurrect and work. And so, this is the country we have built. I feel very sad. You see, take all election results from 1992, and you do that exercise yourself. You will find that in every election in this country, every election since 1992, there have been cases of overvoting. Every election, cases of overvoting. You would at least find 1, 2, 3 polling stations where those who actually cast their ballots exceed the number of registered voters. And this is rigging, isn't it? rigging. There's no other way of calling it. You know, it's rigging. The courts have determined that what has been found in the past is not sufficient evidence which should lead to the annulment of election results. That's what the courts have determined. Maybe they're right, I don't know. But the point is that rigging in any election is a serious matter that we need to look at seriously. Yes, you may not have cases, too many cases, of actual voters exceeding registered voters. But that may just be because in other places, the rigging was more carefully done, more sensibly done. So the rigging may not have occurred in only those polling stations where there's this excess and so on. So here is the signals we are getting, and the president is confirming that. I think it's important to draw the president's attention to the fact that he has no locus whatsoever when it comes to determining who should govern this country. That power is reserved for the electorate, not him. This country does not belong to him. He cannot make those decisions. He has no power to make those decisions. So at best, he's engaged in grape talking. Just grape talking. He has no such authority. He cannot. Now, the 1992 Constitution is an interesting document. And it provides a remedy for those who subvert the will of the people. The remedy is there. I don't want to repeat it. That remedy is so huge, so ghastly, that I don't even want to repeat it. You know? So those who want to subvert election results, those who are claiming that they will not hand over power and so on, they should go and read the 1992 Constitution again. Because it tells us what we should do to them if they subvert the Constitution. The language is clear. If you subvert the Constitution, it becomes lawful to do some things to you. So they should not joke. This is not me talking, it's the Constitution which is talking. The Constitution says clearly that anybody who subverts the will of the people, we have to do the do. You understand what I mean? So they should be extremely careful. In fact, you don't even have to subvert the will of the people before what the Constitution prescribes is done to you. Look, only recently, there was the coup d'etat which was described as the Catalyst coup and so on, involving Mark Palm. You remember? And the courts decided what punishment to give to them, even though they did not attempt the coup. They only dreamt and talked about it. You saw what the courts decided should be done to them. Indeed, 3 days ago, Second Lieutenant Osepoku died. I hope you remember Second Lieutenant Osepoku, who together with Lieutenant S.B. Atta and others tried to overthrow a military government. Not a government elected by the people, but a military government. And you know what happened to them? Okay? So, those who pray for long life should do things which allow them to have long life. If you pray for long life, you don't tamper with the Constitution. If you pray for long life, you don't subvert the will of the people, because the consequences are dire. As for the legacy argument, my brother, legacy? Legacy? I've been listening to Professor White. And he's spoken eloquently about the legacy of the Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I mean, there's nobody who has ever ruled this country before who has left such a legacy. Towering legacy. When I talk to my friends who say they are Nkrumahs and CPPists and so on, they are always mentioning Akuffo Dam, Job 600, factories and so on. The legacy, the true legacy of Nkrumah is not the Akuffo Dam. The true legacy of Nkrumah is not the Cathedral motorway. It is that vision, that idea and organizational capability which enabled him to do those things. They are enduring. Accra motorway has developed potholes. Very soon it may not exist. Okay? The Central Intelligence Agency of the United States of America, as part of its plans to cause chaos in this country, to create conditions for the overthrow of the Nkrumah government, actually played with the idea of bombing the Akuffo Dam. It is possible that one day the Akuffo Dam may not be there, and so on. But the idea of collective self-reliance for African states, the idea of stopping dependence on imports from the colonial metropolis and so on, is an enduring legacy, lives forever. The idea of building boarding schools with bunk beds, the person who slept on top of you had no chance of determining who slept on top of you. So you could be there, sleeping on the lower bed, and on the upper bed, there could be a dagati. The next bed could have a frafra and an eve, and so on. And all of this led to a certain bonding, the building of a spirit of nationhood, which is today being destroyed by foolish politicians. And there are so many of them. And they are everywhere. They are in all the political parties. The NDC primaries, did you hear the garbage which was spilled? Oh, MPP stronghold is Ashanti region. So you need a candidate from Ashanti, in order to neutralize the NPP. Rubbish. And then they came to the selection of running mates. Same rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Non-entities. People who cannot be elected, assistant school prefects, were vying for the position of running mate to John Mahama with stupid reasons. Sometimes it's reduced to age. Sometimes it's reduced to the region they come from. Sometimes it's reduced to their looks. And some of the people who are making arguments about looks, I look at their faces and look at their body and look at their legs. I said, what is going wrong? That such people have the effrontery to be talking about looks? Look at them. They themselves look at them. Unbelievable. But then that's the level we have come to. The level we have come to. I was going to say something, but, I'm a little careful sometimes, That's why the people who said those things, they are my very, very close friends. Not that I'm afraid to criticize my friends and so on. But sometimes when you're saying things, you don't want fingers to be pointed directly to some people. Some people who are assumed to be gurus in politics and so on, they talk a lot of trash. I mean, to the extent that I heard somebody actually saying that, you see, the National Democratic Congress, if you go to the Ashanti region, its leaders in the Ashanti region, like constituency executives, polling station executives, and so on, most of them are not Ashantis. And that is why it is not winning in Ashanti. So they should be replaced with indigenous Ashantis related to the chiefs. Bah! I want to kill the party in the region. Why? My brother, I've lived a little long. And I saw Lieutenant Colonel Dawuni as the Central Regional Minister. And to this day, the people of the Central Region talk about Lieutenant Colonel Dawuni in glorious terms because of what he did in the region. Today, you go to the Eastern Region. The name of Colonel Menyila would ever remain in the annals of the Eastern Region because of the work he did. It doesn't come from there. Akroma, you remember Akroma? Was it Northern Region, commissioner and so on? And there are many others. In fact, during the so-called First Republic, and I don't accept that there's a First Republic and a Second Republic and a Third Republic, Ghana gained its Republican status only once, on 1st July 1960. It is the same Republican status that we maintain after today. So there's nothing like Fourth Republic and there's nothing like Second Republic. It's all just foolish imaginations of politicians who are engaged in a foolish act of obliterating the legacy of Akroma. That's only one republic. There's always been one republic. Okay? But for the purposes of this discussion and so that people would understand, I like to refer to the First Republic. That condition, that you must hail from a place to be able to contest elections there, didn't exist. That is why Akroma could move from Akuffo, small village in the Western Region, come to Addo and beat Obechebilamte to Ras. You understand? And I think that condition should be removed as quickly as possible if we are to build a united Ghana where nobody is a stranger anywhere. There's this practice again. Hey, Samoho. Senna, you've heard once in a while some chiefs, they meet. So we have banned this person from coming to our region. Who the hell are you to ban any Ghanaian from coming to your region? No chief has that authority. No chief has that authority. No chief to ban anybody from going anywhere in Ghana. It's an aberration. It's an affront to the 1992 Constitution. And we should be telling those chiefs who have all of a sudden started calling themselves kings and so on. There's no king in Ghana. My friend, take it from me, there's no king in Ghana. Ghana is a unitary democratic republic. You cannot have a king in a unitary democratic republic. There's no king in Ghana. Stop that nonsense. Put it aside. Okay? So I'm saying that if you're talking about legacies, this is the legacy we must uphold. Okay? Now, if you're talking about legacy and you want to reduce it to the level that Akuffo and his friends have reduced it to, free SHS, is it a new thing? Master, free SHS, is it a new thing? 1D, 1F, what is it? Is that the first time in our history that we are beginning to talk about factories? And in fact, under 1D, 1F, you'll be surprised. Again, I saw a video of a vulcanizing shop being labeled as part of the 1D, 1F achievement. Vulcanizing shop. Those who are listening to us in Tamale know that Moto King had been in Tamale for many years. Many years. Yet today is part of the 1D, 1F and so on. These jokes. Jokes. What under 1D, 1F comes anywhere near the jute factory which was built under Akroma? So if you're talking about legacies, if you want to reduce legacies to that level of counting houses, counting streets and so on, and counting gutters, let's do it properly. You understand? Legacy. Legacy. What legacy? Cathedral. Is that part of the legacy? The most expensive hole ever dug in the name of God. And you see, some of these politicians, they do more damage to the reputation of God than even Satan does. Why? You claim, I'm not saying it, that God created heaven and earth. He created the entire universe, the whole solar system and so on, Saturn, uranium and all of that. God has the capacity to do all of that. And you want to please him, and then you take a small place somewhere in range and build a structure there. You think you are doing something for God. God who builds the universe.
It's homeless.
Yes, and then they say that God is homeless, you know. He doesn't fit into Archbishop Duncan Williams Cathedral. He doesn't fit into all the cathedrals which exist. You must create something new for God. He built the universe, my friend. You said that he built the universe. And you see, these people, they worry God a lot. I don't know. If I were God, I don't know what I'm going to do. They worry him a lot. People who are going to build a resting place for God, God does not give them the wisdom to find ways of building it and completing it on schedule. God takes away their wisdom to the extent that they only end up digging a hole. What kind of God is that? Master, is that kind of God worth worshipping? What kind of God be that? But hey, this is where we are. I want to end by sounding a warning. Anybody, any group of people who are intent on rigging this election must take note that we have rights and powers that we have given ourselves in the 1992 Constitution. And those rights and powers include the right to resist them even at the peril of our lives. And they must not begin to think that they are the only Jack Torontos in Ghana. They are not the only Jack Torontos in Ghana. There are so many Jack Torontos. You understand? They must be careful. I think that every Ghanaian who loves his country would not want to add mayhem to the terrible economic conditions that people are facing and so on. But if we are left with no choice, we will rise up to the occasion and face all those who think that they have a divine right to rule over us, even as they mess our lives. Something small, and if I just relax. We cannot, under any circumstance, describe Ǔsělěss as a criminal. She's under suspicion of committing a crime, but she has not been convicted by any appropriate institution. That's all.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. We have to take a break. When we come back, we'll discuss the limited voter registration exercise. So we'll be right back.
Abusua we ne ensema ekoso ewo highway ne so K.Pratt na abetutu bi amane Addo nana Addo a enye asam keto akra se ono no one hwan a obeka se unja abatuo ne mu ma obi ya bere abidwafo na asese omoje pene kokotie sa audio we e de emaye aha POG Media medamase.